Welcome to our first STEM Talks of the academic year. So for those of you that don't know who UHN STEM Pathways is or have never been to one of our events, UHN STEM Pathways is the official outreach organization of the University Health Network, and we host both virtual and in-person programs to hopefully get youth excited about STEM and healthcare careers. So one of our major initiatives is the STEM Talks series, and this is a career panel that we host each month that highlights various fields within healthcare. So this month's theme, and the theme that you're all here for, is cardiology or the heart. And this is because World Heart Day is coming up tomorrow, so we want to be able to showcase some of the cool things happening at UHN related to the heart. So how this event will work is it's built up with 3 amazing panelists, and they're going to talk about the work that they do focused on cardiology. So each of them will have 5 to 10 minutes where they'll talk about their day-to-day life, what they do, what a week in the life is like, and then we'll have an open Q&A period. So feel free to put all of your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand at the end of the session and we'll hopefully try to answer all of the ones that pop up. As you can see, the session is currently being recorded, so we suggest you leave your microphones and cameras off so there's no background noise during the event. In addition, any of you that are here for the Certificate of Participation program, all you have to do to be able to count your attendance is to make sure your first and last name is spelled properly. That's all you have to do. We'll take your attendance then from Zoom. For those of you that don't even know what this program is, this certificate program that allows students to get certificates of participation for coming to STEM Pathways events. So basically, if you attend 7 of our events from now until June 2024, you'll get a certificate that is signed by senior UHN leadership and in a health and wellness SHISM school board. You can also possibly get the medical terminology or lab practices certificate. So basically how it works is we have events happening every single month that are virtual. You pick 7 events you want to attend throughout the year, and that will be counting towards a certificate program. And we have a lot of different events coming up. You can see a few of them below. And Trisha's going to put in the chat how to sign up for the program, but I know a lot of you are already here for it. And it's going to be a fun year of programming. So today's event, as I mentioned before, is focused on the heart. And that is because we have an amazing center at UHN known as the Peter Munk Cardiac Center. So this is the center that is the world leader in cardiac and vascular care. We have so many different individuals that work at the Peter Munk Center with so many various expertise and knowledge levels. So these are some of the topics that we focus on at the Peter Munk Cardiac Center, things like aortic disease, valvular heart disease, heart failure, and function. And you'll learn about some of these today from our speakers. But before we have our speakers talk, we do have a video to show you more about the Peter Munk Cardiac Center. And hopefully you can hear the audio. And then after this, Trisha, you can launch the poll.
As the leaders of the Peter Munk Cardiac Center at University Health Network, it is with great pride and a deep sense of responsibility that we embark on our mission to provide the highest quality care to the patients we serve. We are dedicated to fostering a team-based approach to patient care, where all members of the team together work towards a common goal of providing the best possible outcome for each individual patient. Despite the challenges that come with operating in the healthcare industry, we remain steadfast in our commitment to develop innovative therapies for those with cardiovascular disease. We will continue to explore new ways to improve patient care, such as minimally invasive surgeries and the use of remote monitoring devices that allow us to continuously assess patients' health status in their own homes. We believe that a workplace that focuses on the well-being of both patients and staff promotes joy in work and ultimately leads to better outcomes for everyone. We will invest in the new currency of healthcare, data, and leverage our rapidly evolving expertise in artificial intelligence. Our patients will receive the best treatments available using state-of-the-art equipment that is at the forefront of medical innovation. As we move forward, we will be bold, embrace change, and set the worldwide standard for discovery, learning, and care.
All right, so that was just a little bit of an intro video into the Peter Monk Cardiac Center. So Trisha's going to launch a poll now. So we want to know if the heart actually interests you, if you are interested in cardiology, just so we know generally who's in the audience today. With that in mind, though, I'm just going to pass it off to our first speaker of the day. Karen, feel free to screen share and talk about your cool job.
My name is Karen, and I have been working at UHN since 2009, so it's been a long time. My current position is a charge sonographer, and a sonographer meaning somebody who does sonograms. So most people think of sonograms as something that we look at babies with, but I actually do echocardiography, which is specialty ultrasound just of the heart. So I've been working doing heart ultrasounds for about 14 years now, and help lead the team. So originally I'm from Windsor, and I went to school at the University of Windsor, but I've been working in Toronto and living there. Is from human kinetics. So I did my undergraduate degree in the Faculty of Human Kinetics, movement science. So I've always been interested in the human body and how it works. During my undergraduate degree, I worked in cardiac rehab and found a real interest in that, and eventually found my way into the diagnostic cardiac sonography program, which is a specialty program at Mohawk College that they run on the McMaster campus. So it's a combined MOMAC program, specialty for heart ultrasounds. So we don't do other ultrasounds. It's really just a program with the emphasis on learning how to do heart ultrasounds. So on top of your undergraduate degree, you needed to do that extra year and a half. So what is echo? Cardiac sonography, also known as echocardiography, or echo, is a test that uses sound waves to assess the heart size and function in real time. So you can see on the picture there, we use a probe to take images of the heart, and they're actual real live moving images that we capture. So we can actually see the different chambers of the heart and the valves moving, and we can watch the blood flow going through the heart. And there's a lot of different assessments that we do to take a look at that. My weeks consist of a large team. So we actually, in the Peter Monk Cardiac Center, have one of the largest echo teams in Canada, or the largest, and we have probably about 30 sonographers. Our main lab is running 12 rooms, and we run extra rooms in the ambulatory cardiac clinics and some other satellite locations, as well as bringing our machines to ICUs in different places to take a look at patients in the lab. So we take care of a huge variety of patients with complex heart conditions. People come from all over to see our specialists because they specialize in all kinds of different heart conditions, including hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a lot of the congenital heart diseases. So kids that are born with heart defects, once they graduate from sick kids, come to us. So these patients all have complicated histories, and a lot of times have had multiple surgeries or conduits, and we have to image how the heart is still working. And I get to not only do those pictures and work with a team of cardiologists to help continue the care, but manage the other sonographers that are here in the lab with me as well. I chose this career because I've always thought the heart was an interesting organ, and people will say, well, it's just one organ. Wouldn't you get bored? You know, general ultrasound would do a whole bunch of different organs, but the heart is so specialized and intense that there's so many different things. And in 14 years, I've never been bored, and constantly learn new things and see new things. And with the progression of technology, we get new images that allows us to help people in different ways. So it's always changing and evolving, which is really nice. The heart disease is a huge and complicated entity. And so we do everything from, like I was saying, the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is thickening of the heart muscles, to valve issues where the valves are either too tight or they're leaking too much, or heart tumors, which things are growing inside, people with diseases, or bacteria that are growing that can cause different issues or abnormalities that we have to monitor, and cancer patients whose cancer treatments depend significantly on their heart being able to maintain its function despite the cardiotoxic drugs that they're on. And so closely monitoring these patients allows them to continue their cancer treatments while we monitor their heart and making sure that they are holding up throughout the process of their care. So it's a highly specialized and interesting field.
All right, thank you, Karen. That was great. Richard, you are up next. Feel free to take over screen share.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Richard Rerau. Thank you for having me. I am the Integrated Care Lead for Heart Failure at the Peter Monk Cardiac Center. So I started off my nursing career at PMCC in 2018 as a registered nurse on the cardiology cardiac short stay ward. Since then, I have worked in the coronary ICU here at Toronto General Hospital. I have also worked in the cardiac cath lab for diagnostic and treatment for patients with cardiac illnesses. And currently I'm working as the integrated care lead for heart failure as of June 2021. My passions are health, fitness, and travel. Here's a recent photo of my recent travel to New York. Speaking about my education, so I graduated with my undergraduate degree in nursing in 2017 from the former Ryerson University, now known as Toronto Metropolitan University. And in 2020, to advance my skills in nursing, I completed postgraduate certification in critical care at the Missioner Institute of Education at UHN. In 2020, I also obtained specialty certification in cardiovascular nursing through the Canadian Nurses Association. So speaking about the work that I do, I work with the UHN Integrated Care Program and also Medley. So the Integrated Care Program supports patients during a high-risk period post-discharge from hospital. And we support patients as they transition during this high-risk phase. We use, in the heart failure division, a smartphone application called Medley to remotely monitor patients, keep them out of hospital, and remotely titrate their medications for heart failure. Speaking about remote technology, there are several benefits. One of them is that it allows us to optimize medications, reducing the need for in-person clinic visits, and helping patients get to target doses of their medications faster in a safe and effective way. Medley is a smartphone application working with a team of clinicians, including nurses, nurse practitioners, and heart failure cardiologists. We also use additional remote monitoring tools such as HeartLogic by Boston Scientific and CardioMEMS by Abbott to enhance the care that we provide for patients and keep them out of the hospital. As a day-to-day, some of the things that I do is review AI-generated Medley alerts and triage my work based on high-priority alerts in patients that are most in need. I conduct phone assessments with patients to assess their symptoms, review medications, and reinforce health teaching for heart failure. As I mentioned, we work with a team of heart failure cardiologists, nurse practitioners, and I'm involved in coordinating the plan of care. I regularly attend inpatient rounds on the unit to screen eligible patients for our program. So the last slide, how does my work help people and what are the future goals? So my work allows patients to feel supported once they leave the hospital. It gives them access to their healthcare team that closely monitors them through a smartphone application. The app has built-in artificial intelligence, which can generate feedback messages for patients, such as taking extra Lasix, which is a diuretic, or advising them to go to the ER in cases where it's a high-risk situation. Future goals of the Medley program is to expand across Ontario to serve vulnerable populations for patients with heart failure. The integrated care program is also expanding across the UHN enterprise to help support patients as they transition from hospital to home. My passion is to support patients along their health journey, providing them with excellent care. The integrated care program and Medley are extensions of the clinic and hospital boundaries that allow us to continuously provide high quality care. You can feel free to reach me by email or LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. And we have our last speaker. Natalie, if you want to share screen.
Thank you. Are you guys seeing that? The screen? We're good? Okay, perfect. So hi everyone, I'm Valley. I am an AI scientist at Peter Monk Cardiac Center. So like a little bit of background, I was born in Norway, but I grew up in Markham, Ontario. And then I've been living in Toronto after I graduated, so for like the last six years or so. And I actually am a little bit new to Peter Monk Cardiac Center. I joined about 2 months ago, and it's been great so far. And in my spare time, when I'm not doing some science, I enjoy drawing, painting, baking, and thrifting. So here I just have a picture of one of the talks that I gave at the Vector Institute. And a drawing I did was actually for my brother who got into med school a couple years back. And at that time, he actually wanted to be a cardiac surgeon. So I did a drawing of a heart on some old notes he had. Yeah, so safe to say he's not as interested in that now, but we'll see what happens. So a bit of background about my education. I did a Bachelor of Science in biomedical science and computer science at Western University. It's just a picture with two of my really good friends. We're still friends to this day, Steph and Tegan. Steph is actually doing a PhD in biomedical engineering at U of T as well, and Tegan is working in pharmaceuticals. So also very interesting avenues, a little bit different. And then I did my PhD in computational biology and machine learning from University of Toronto. I was supervised by Anna Goldenberg and David Malkin. Anna is a computer scientist, and David is a clinician scientist. And they both were amazing mentors throughout my PhD. One thing that I would really recommend is, mentorship throughout, your education and your career. And this is just a picture of the celebration during my thesis defense, or after my thesis defense, rather. I think I skipped a slide here. Yeah. So I mainly work on artificial intelligence. I feel like maybe you guys have heard of that before. Essentially what AI is, it's not really what I think you see in media is, these robots that are taking over, but it's more, you have a lot of data and you're trying to identify complex patterns in this data using machine learning algorithms. And so in the context of healthcare and at Peter Monk, what we're trying to do is do this using really diverse modalities. So we have a lot of really rich data sets. Karen talked about echocardiograms. That is actually one of the modalities we use as well. So we use echoes, MRIs, EHR data, genomic data, which is like your DNA. And basically what we try to do is using all these different types of data, we want to find patterns in this data that could help us, better treat a patient or better manage a patient's clinical care. And so we use that data to develop different strategies and tools for precision medicine. And precision medicine, essentially the idea that, you know, each of us is made up very differently, and we want to tailor clinical care for patients based on that individual's, you know, their DNA, their imaging, their own data. And so AI allows us to do this. So just kind of an idea of what these kind of tools can look like. So I mentioned genomic data. So typically each of us is, we have DNA in each of our cells, and this DNA is really rich with a lot of different information, because that's essentially what is the blueprint for how, you know, why our eyes are the color they are, our hair is the color that it is. So this data can actually also give us clues as to if a person is going to develop a certain type of disease, if they're going to, how that disease is going to manifest in that person. So one of the projects that I worked on during my PhD was, you know, we have all this data, all these patients that come in that have hereditary cancers, and we wanted to be able to identify if they were going to get cancer at a young age or at an older age. And so we developed a machine learning tool using DNA based biomarkers. And this tool basically predicts whether or not an individual will develop a cancer with a high probability or a low probability. And so this is an example of the types of tools that we can actually develop using DNA and genomic data. One of the other applications we're working on at Peter Munk in the AI team is using large language models for healthcare. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of ChatGPT, and what we want to do here at Peter Munk is actually be able to develop these models that can help clinicians and help patients by taking their data and actually providing useful output. So these models would take in, for example, clinical notes, imaging data, maybe other modalities, and then hopefully spit out an answer for diagnosis related questions that could be helpful. That may take a lot longer time if someone was just doing this manually. So a week in my life is really conceptualizing these projects, these AI projects to uncover biological insights for cardiovascular diseases. We engage with a variety of different stakeholders. So it's quite interdisciplinary because, you know, we're working on AI, but we're working on AI in a hospital. So we are interacting a lot with clinicians, computer scientists, biologists, you know, other staff that, you know, may have more knowledge about specific data modalities. And then I also, on a day-to-day basis, manage a team of students and bioinformaticians. And so each of these students has a project in that I help guide them to, you know, do interesting research and help uncover interesting biological insights from their data. And our bioinformaticians work with us to develop code for actually doing these analyses. And then I also do some of the actual analysis of the data and developing of these AI tools. Another big part of my job is actually reading a lot. So keeping up to date on scientific literature. You know, things are always changing in the context of healthcare and AI. And so it's really important that we know what's happening and we're up to date on the most recent discoveries and the most recent developments. And so I really, that's a big part of what I do on a daily basis is reading new things that come out. And then once in a while, we get to attend conferences and give talks. And some of these conferences are in cool places, sometimes in Europe, sometimes in different parts of the United States. And so that's also an exciting opportunity because you get to not only talk about your work, but also meet other people that are doing similar work in different parts of the world and get to know what their experience is like. So why I chose this career. So I think one of the main reasons is that I really believe that AI can improve management of patients and have a real impact on clinical care. Um, I think in conjunction with what's happening in the clinic, AI tools can really help speed things up or reduce the burden for these clinicians. And so having the ability to develop these tools that could help patients have a better outcome or better experience is really, really meaningful towards for me. And another aspect of what I really like about my job is that it's interdisciplinary and very collaborative. You have to really understand various different aspects of computer science and AI, but then also biology and clinical care and how patients are managed, and also how to communicate that to different audiences. So I like that it is really interdisciplinary, and I think that you can really learn a lot from talking to people of different backgrounds. So I really enjoy that, and also working with different people. It really takes a village to get a lot of these projects off the ground and actually have them be successful. And so I like that it really involves a lot of people working together, all really excited and passionate about the same goal. I also really love that it requires being creative and thinking out of the box, and identifying ways to innovate, and the problem solving aspect. Really what my role is like about is, you have a problem and you want to solve it using AI, a problem in the context of healthcare. So if you're interested in keeping up to date with some of the things that are happening at the Peter Monk Cardiac Center AI department, as well as some of the work that I'm doing, feel free to follow either the PMCC AI account on Twitter or myself. And usually anything we have, anything big we have in terms of, cool scientific discoveries or new advancements, we post there.
All right. Thank you, Valley. That was very cool. I just like some of these jobs I didn't even know they existed until I started working at UHN, and I'm like, wow, this is like these things are real. So we have a lot of questions. One of the common ones that's just coming up is why the heart? Why did you three pick the heart? Why is that your passion? Was it always your passion, or did you just end up in heart studies? So maybe we can go in the order of presenter, that is easier for people. So Karen, tell us why heart.
The heart is just cool. I think when I started working cardiac rehab, it's the thing that keeps us going. Everything else, a lot of things can take a break, but the heart never takes a break. It beats all the time at every moment, and it's essential for life. And so, making sure that our hearts are healthy and that we maintain them and care for them. And what I love, especially seeing in ECHO, and in the cardiac center at PMCC, is there's so much we can do for the heart. People used to think, oh, you have a heart attack and then that's it. But there's just so much interventional care and preventative care that, people can survive so many things. And there's especially the kids that have heart disease, right? Things that, and that's why our adult congenital program is so huge at UHN. Is they're doing such a great job at sick kids and across the world and helping these kids survive when they used to have such a short life. We can do so many things to really extend their life and make their life valuable. So it's a pretty cool thing to see, something that you can actually work on.
Richard, what about you?
So cardiovascular disease is a leading cause of death in Canada, and Peter Monk Cardiac Center, as a world leader in research, clinical care, innovation, is somewhere where I wanted to be, to help deliver excellent care and have an impact on this population.
Valley?
Yeah, I think a couple of reasons for me. So I did actually start in the cancer world, and then I transitioned to cardiac. There's actually a lot of connections between cancer and cardiac too. Sometimes when people get chemotherapy treatment, they can actually have cardiotoxicity. So I think exploring questions like that was really interesting to me. And then on like a more personal note, like it is really heart problems are really enriched in the South Asian community. And I know, several family members who've been affected, including like my dad has had a heart attack and things like that. He's okay, it's all good. But it is one of the reasons that I think I was really passionate about kind of switching gears and going towards that trajectory. Yeah.
I do see a raised hand, actually. Annabelle, do you want to ask your question out loud?
Yeah. I just wanted to know, how did you know that going forward, cardiology was something you wanted to do for the rest of your life? Because at that point, you have spent a lot of money on your degrees to just continue in cardiology. So how did you know that you wanted to do this forever?
Who wants to try this? Val, you're unmuted. You can try this.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I know that I want to do it forever. I don't think that choosing a career means you have to do it forever. I don't really believe that. I think, you do something, you enjoy it, and if you start to not enjoy it, you do something different. So I think that's kind of my philosophy. I think you should do things because you're passionate about it, not because it's 100% maybe like the most practical like way to go about it. But I mean, everyone has different sentiments, so yeah.
You want to add anything, Karen?
Yeah, I think, I mean, especially going through, I guess the question was a bit about education and how do you know? I know personally, I kind of like Valley said, you kind of fall into different things and then you change your path. In university, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just thought the human body was cool. So I did human kinetics. And then after university, I traveled. I worked as a fitness instructor on cruise ships. And then I ended up falling into a field of cardiology, and I saw somebody who was doing echoes and just thought that was super cool. And yeah, I have been doing it for 14 years. And right now I'm actually applying to master's programs because I'm looking at moving into, different ways in healthcare to grow and lead the team, because I love what I'm doing at UHN and want to have a bigger voice. So I think we always continue to learn and grow, and places like UHN are great because they do have so many opportunities and you get exposed to so many different, departments and ideas, and you only think of one thing, but there's so many avenues to branch off of, especially in our discipline and in our hospital. So
The only thing I can add, I can't say for certain that I'll be in cardiology for the rest of my career. I find I am still quite young, but starting in cardiology, one thing just led to another. I started in cardiology and I did specialty courses, professional development through Ted Rogers, and those things have just led me to where I am right now. But who knows what will happen in the next coming years.
There are so many chat questions. Okay, I'll read one of the private questions I got. So students are obviously in school, so they're wondering, what extracurriculars should I do to get to where you are? Do the extracurriculars matter? What should I try to get involved in outside of school? And Richard, you can go first. We'll mix it
up. In terms of extracurriculars, I think focusing on your academics, getting the best GPA possible to go into whatever educational program that you desire. Also focusing on what makes you happy, doing hobbies, sports, music, whatever makes you happy. Being active in your community to make you a well-rounded person, and following what your passions really are.
Karen, how about you?
Yeah, so I guess my advice too would be getting involved, whether it's volunteering or if you can find programs that are co-op programs. So I know in my university experience, I did co-op programs and worked in different areas. I actually did, as one of my co-ops, vascular type ultrasound, as well as worked in chiropractic clinics and the fitness industry. So I got a taste of available based on my degree into what environments I enjoyed working in. So getting any kind of experience in fields that you're interested in and talking to people who are doing it will help give you an idea if it's something that you want to pursue and what it takes to get to those different levels.
Anything to add, Valley?
No, not really. I think I would just want to echo what Karen had said as well. I really agree with the co-op point of view as well. I think like even if you don't have co-op in your program, if you can do summer jobs and get different experiences. I really tried everything across the board. Like I don't know if you guys have seen those people that kind of stand out there and ask for donations. I've been that person. I've done that. I've served. I've doing different things to realize what you do like, what you don't like, and then you pick up skills from different jobs and different experiences. And so yeah, I would recommend summer jobs, co-ops, things like that as well.
Or we got a few technical questions here if anybody wants to answer. Can the heart repair itself after a heart attack? Anybody know the answer to this?
You want to go for it, Richard? You want me to do?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. The heart is a really interesting function. So when we talk about heart attacks, in case you're not aware, the little blood vessels that supply your heart, it's those blood vessels that give the heart muscles blood that get blocked in a heart attack. So the key for heart attacks is actually quick care. And it's something that we've gotten so much better at over the years, and why so many people can survive heart attacks and live much better. So if you are ever in a situation, the key is to keep the heart pumping and to get it moving and to get stuff circulating and get care as quickly as possible, because I can see people's hearts after heart attacks, and the biggest damage and irreversible damage happens when people don't get care quickly. So I always tell patients, I'd rather check you out and it turn out to be nothing than you to stay home and not get the care that you need because you just didn't think it was something. Because the quick care and the analysis of getting your heart treated quickly can help you recover. So it depends on what level of heart attack, but I've seen people, yes, with heart attacks that you couldn't even tell based on their echo, their hearts are pumping and moving and all the muscles are fine even after a heart attack if they can manage to get care quickly. So yes and no.
I could just add, as part of the work that how it relates to the work that I do. So after a heart attack, the pumping function of a heart can result in a decreased ejection fraction, less than 40%. And guideline-directed medical therapy is indicated for these patients. Optimization of medications for heart failure can result in improvement in ejection fraction after reassessment on echocardiogram. So that's what I can say.
Good technical knowledge here. All right, Val, we have a couple questions for you. So there's a little bit of a longer question, but you were talking about a program that used AI language bases that was being built to help clinicians. And they wanted to know how dependable/reliable can AI be in terms of helping cardiologists, since there is room for technical errors.
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. I think we're still figuring that out, actually. So there is a tool like Clinical Camel that we've been developing at UHN that is a large language model. It's not being used in the clinic, and I think that is what you're suggesting, Cheyenne, is actually why we haven't actually deployed it, is because in order for these tools to actually be used in the clinic, they need to be really robustly evaluated and monitored. Otherwise, there could be unexpected behavior and that could influence, a patient care. So typically, like with these AI models, before they're ever deployed, you have them kind of in the clinic as in silent mode. So they're not actually changing clinical care, but you're just writing down, these are the predictions from the model. Was it right? Was it wrong? And then you can go back and say, okay, is the model actually ready? Is it performing in a consistent manner? And then if it is, then maybe you can take that step to actually, put it in the clinic. And it's very context dependent too, right? Like if it's a high risk situation versus a low risk situation, if it's like what treatment someone's going to get, that's a very high risk scenario. You don't want to give someone the wrong treatment. So maybe that one would be more robustly evaluated. Yeah, so it depends, and we're not completely there yet. We're still figuring that out.
So much to learn still about AI.
Yeah.
All right, we have another question. So they're asking all of you, are there any specific qualities or skills you believe are crucial for somebody that wants to pursue a career in heart health? Are there any skills people should focus on developing now before they continue on in the career? And maybe we can go back in the order of the speakers. So Karen, let us know what you think.
I mean, specific skills. I think just the passion for wanting to work with people is particularly in my department. You know, you have to have that genuine care for people. So, I mean, maybe Valley's more in the IT area, but that constant need to help people, I think is valuable. So if you find yourself drawn to healthcare, having empathy and that ability to really just continuously put yourself out there and give your all is important.
What do you think, Richard?
Cardiology has huge impact on the Canadian population. So especially with heart failure as a major readmission, reason for readmission. So there's a lot of technology, artificial intelligence, new research on interventions to help heart failure patients. So I think one of the qualities that you guys should have is embracing new research, new technology, and see how patient care can be advanced.
Valley?
Yeah, I mean, I think I share what Richard and Karen have both said. The passion and the curiosity is really the driving force. And then, you know, each of our domains is really different. So then, like, you know, with Karen's, you obviously have to be interacting with more people. You don't really interact with maybe as many people, and with AI. And so, you know, some of the skills or some of the interests may be different, like that. Wanting to do that more technical problem solving, things like that, in addition to that passion and curiosity.
All right, we have another question. I think this is more for you, Valley. A student wants to know, how do you connect computer science with your active research and practices in your fields? Maybe other people could talk about comp sci too.
So how do I connect? So essentially, it's almost like an application of computer science or of machine learning to cardiology. So you can really apply it. You know, you see AI in really every domain and every industry. You have it in finance. You have it in, you know, when you're shopping, those algorithms for what's recommended. Those are all AI tools. Banking. So healthcare and cardiology is another application of that. I think what drew me to cardiology and computer science and healthcare specifically is that the problems are really complex and, you know, really interesting, and they can have a real impact on the quality of life for people. So that's kind of where cardiology and computer science come together. But in terms of the actual application of it, it's really just the data that we're using is, you know, cardiology related. That's really where the cardiology interacts with the computer science. Is the data you're training these models on are from patients that, you know, have cardiac issues or from the actual heart. Yeah.
All right, Karen, do you use comp sci a bit?
Yeah, I mean, we use not just computer science, but I think one of the things I didn't realize before I ended up in the field that I'm in is how many different scientific elements are involved in the different things. Like, so for echocardiography, it's sound waves. So things you can learn about physics and the way that sound waves move and echo and reverberate back. You have to have that understanding so that you can understand what's true and what is an artifact, and how these different technologies and our sound waves, you know, work with our AI technology. We're creating real-time views for surgeons who are placing clips inside the heart as it happens. So understanding what looks like a device and what looks like valves, and understanding how the technology works to create those images is really important. So there's a lot of applications for math and science and physics in all of the heart as well. So, and the technologies that we use to image the heart. So
everywhere. Richard, do you use any comp sci, AI, math? What do you do?
So the Medley application is powered by AI. So the data that patients enter, their weight, their blood pressure, and their symptoms, um, the AI generates feedback messages to patients, whether they should go to the emergency, whether they should contact their care team, or whether they should be taking additional medication. So we have application of AI through our smartphone application, and we as clinicians monitor and communicate with the patients directly.
All right, what else do we have? Okay, a student just wants to know, what subject did you like in high school? Did you know then you liked the heart? What were you interested in? Did you secretly love physics and that's why you're here? Maybe Val, you can go first. What did you like in high school?
That's funny that you mentioned physics because that was my favorite subject, but I also really love biology, of course. I think the idea of combining the two is really what brought me here. The idea of like combining, you know, the technical with the biological. So yeah, those were the two subjects that I was really fond of.
Richard, how about you?
My favorite subjects were math and biology.
Karen?
yeah, similar. I enjoyed biology and math. I think in the younger grades I didn't like math, but when I figured out it was problem solving and using just different ways to get to a new solution, I started to really enjoy it. And I always thought, not necessarily plant science, but I always just thought the human body was really cool, and how it affects us, because, you know, I have a human body. So I always wanted to know how it worked. So yeah, I thought, you know, learning how all of those things work together is really an interesting thing. I know somebody else's question said, you know, about nutrition and things like that, and some of the things that we've learned about biology and how that affects the heart. I think people always just thought of fats and fatty foods creates clogs, but things that I've learned over time is, you know, especially things like smoking, where people think, oh, that's just lungs, but the toxicity that it creates in the arteries that causes the damage and the blockages and other cardiovascular issues, or things like sugars, especially people with diabetes who have trouble managing their sugars, can really harden the arteries and cause a lot of other problems. So to answer the question in the chat about foods, I think it's the healthy, balanced diet obviously is the best thing to do, but really avoiding those things that create that toxicity and damage our arteries. So it's not just the fatty foods, it's the high sugars and the other things as well.
All right, what else do we have? I guess some people just want to know, when did you know you made the right career choice? Do you know that you made the right career choice? Some of you are earlier on in your career, but when did you know? Do you know? Maybe Karen, you can answer first.
I don't know that we ever know. I think we're just always learning and growing. I think as a younger person, I thought that, you know, adults and people further in their career had it all figured out. But I've learned over time that we're all just figuring it out every day and following our passions. So I think you just have to keep going with whatever you continue to find passion and enjoyment in, and just creating a positive force in the world, and just keep following that ambition, and it'll lead you to whatever it is that you want to do in life.
Richard?
I'm not too sure. Yeah, things can change.
How about you, Valley?
Yeah, I agree that I think you never know for sure, and it's quite dynamic and it does change. I think for me personally, like so undergrad was obviously very course based, and I didn't thrive in that environment with standardized testing. And then I went to grad school, which is very unstructured and, it's more project based and you have more creative freedom. And I really enjoyed that. So for me, that was really a sign of like, I like research. I like, being a scientist because you don't have to write those standardized tests. You can think of cool ideas and then try to implement them. So for me, grad school was really where it kind of was like, oh, okay, maybe this is for me. I like this and I'm good at this. Yeah.
All right, we are kind of coming to the end of the session, so maybe one final question for everyone. What is one piece of advice you would give me as I'm continuing in my school journey? So yeah, we have a bunch of people that are in elementary school, high school, even some undergrads here. Any piece of advice you would give them as they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life? And then I guess maybe just in the same order as the speakers, Karen, what is your advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to know that through each different part of your schooling and career that, every day we just wake up and we have to solve problems. So whether your teacher is giving you a project that you think is dumb, just being able to complete the project and find a way to get up and do your job, whether it's school or work, in a positive way is I think going to be the thing that helps me guide my daily activities. Healthcare can be really tricky, and it can grate on you over time. And one of the things I try to tell my team is that, what you can do every day is what we need to focus on. So just get up and do what you can every day and follow those passions, because it'll lead you to great things. Be open to opportunity.
Richard, how about you? Can you top that piece of advice?
Piece of advice. I think everyone has different circumstances, right? They have their own individual family situation, their own financial circumstances, what their goals are, where do they see themselves in the future? Do they want to have a family? So I think it's an individual decision that you make on your own.
And Valerie.
I think twofold for me. So one, I think talk to lots of people, talk to everyone that you can imagine about why they like their job, why they like the things they do. I think some of that exposure is really invaluable, and it really opens your eyes to, maybe you guys didn't know about certain careers and now you know about them. And then I think the other thing is like, this is going to sound really corny, but like follow your heart and like your passion. And like, even if something is not the most glamorous, or I know like there's certain jobs like, medicine that are really glamorized, and there's a lot of prestige and talk about careers like that. But I think doing something because you genuinely enjoy it and because you're passionate about it, and not because of the other attributes, is really important.
And I think that was a perfect wrapping up statement. You even like had a heart pun in there somewhere. So with that in mind, thank you so much, the three of you, for speaking at the session. I'm just going to do a couple wrap up slides and we will end the event. All right. So sharing. All right. So thank you to all of you that attended our first STEM Talks of the year. It was hosted, as I said before, by the UHN STEM Pathways team. So I think about half of you said you've never been to one of our events before. So just so you know what we do a lot of different things through UHN. So we do things like lab tours, scientist panels, which you're obviously at right now, hands-on activities or workshops. We even go into classrooms. We sometimes offer job shadowing, and we even record events, as you are seeing right now. So if you do want to learn more about programming, or maybe learn more about some of those things happening at UHN, feel free to check out our website, or even just send us an email if you have any questions at stempathways@uhn.ca. So just putting this all in the chat. So if you can't see my screen fast enough, it's in the chat. And with that in mind, our next two virtual events that are coming up are two career panels. One is focused on stem cells, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So we have 3 individuals working in the stem cell field, specifically at the McEwen Stem Cell Institute. And then our second event of the month in October will be an undergrad panel. So we're just going to spend the whole hour answering all of your questions about undergrad. What is it like to apply? What program should I be in? What school should I go to? What extracurriculars should I do? It's going to be a whole hour of open Q&A where you can ask all of these questions that people always ask us. So Trisha, if you've launched the poll yet, feel free to launch the exit poll. We want to just know if you enjoyed the session, if you learned anything, and that is the end of me talking for today. So thank you again to all of you that attended and to our speakers here. You are free to go and enjoy the rest of your night.